What up, my squeaks? Ruinous Man Thing here, welcoming you to part 21 and the very last part of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Throt the Unclean Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, we achieved a long victory, though it was not the final episode as we do not yet have the Nemesis crown, though we are well on the way to hunting down Drycha and Coadil and taking it from them, and then hopefully getting a nice battle, assuming that it works, out of the Nemesis crown dig site. We shall most definitely see. We also took the fight to the War Grove of Woe here at Fishatall as Mormel and his rattling guns and Warplock Jazales managed to overcome the defenders despite that being a sort of, Wood Elf Siege minor settlement battle. Anyway, in terms of what we gotta do this particular turn as we look for the rest of the little battles, let's see. Does anybody actually still have to move, or are we good here? I don't remember. Like I've said many a time, my memory don't last the day. Let's see. Maybe everybody has moved already. Should we just assume that we have? We are still recruiting here with Zap Spark. Throt is stuck where he is. Mormel is stuck where he is. I feel like there was at least one army that needed to move, but I don't remember where it is. Or I could be wrong, and maybe nobody actually needs to move. Alright, well then screw it. I'm just going to assume that everybody is fine. What about Hulskury? Deathmaster Snitch is moving in, but anyway. Alright, let's just end the turn and try to find the other sort of, battles. Go. Hey, alrighty. I had a feeling Drycha would attempt to run, but it looks like Throt will get an underway interception. I really don't think we need the menace below here, but we have maxed out food, so why not use it? I guess. Here we go. All we gotta do is win it and take the crown for Throt and, defeat, I guess, Coadil, having some solid stats here. Yeah, Coadil's going to be the bigger issue than Drycha, I think, though Drycha's a pretty solid fighter herself. Anyway, should be a fun fight. It's rare that we see a Pyrrhic victory with high casualties for Throt's army, so go.
What's down commands?
Alrighty, here we go. Throt's been eyeing that Nemesis crown for a while now, and fortunately Drycha and Coadil make some pretty solid opponents for us as we take it. Now, I guess we'll send Throt directly towards Drycha and maybe Gorge to try to handle Coadil, and we'll see how that works out. But first, of course, in will be Throt and his Ratketeers. There we go. Looks like the enemy will, of course, they're going to fire at our weakest units, the moldy mutts back there, take an arrow of Kurnus, but that's alright. Throt barrels through a pile of dryads, summoning a pile of rat ogres on top of them. Of course, the enemy will react immediately with a awakening in the woods, but that's alright. Here come the doggos, I expect, with Drycha's significant buffs to her army and the activation of that Nemesis Crown ability, though I'm just pretty sure it would hurt them as well. Actually, I'm not sure, but anyway, activation of that ability and all. We'll lose a lot of the doggos, but it's allowing the rest of our army to close the distance, and the enemy is too distracted by the weak summons to countercharge us. There we go. Out here, Gorge is facing off against Coadil, who towers over him, and I mean, realistically speaking, Coadil would absolutely body Gorge. Lore-wise, like, it wouldn't even be close. But on the bright side, the buffs that we've got on him mean he should be able to handle them. 1,000 weapon strength, 100 melee attack when he's got his buffs up and running. Over on the left flank, we have a few. Well, the wolves are gone, but the bears are still there, but not for much longer either. Oh, they're rank 9. Well, they'll be rank 0 shortly. Especially since it's an interception, they're not getting out of this one. Coadil's down to about half HP, and Drycha is down to about 20% of hers. The wolf rats held the line long enough for us to get all of our monsters in, tied up all the range units. And it looks like it's just a matter of time now. And there we go, Drycha will break with, what, 20% of her, well, maybe 5% of her HP remaining? I don't know, but down she goes, and only Coadil remains. We have a malevolent tree man still fighting here, but wavering hand with army losses, and ooh, looks like Coadil will break as well, and we'll book it on out of there together with the rest of the army. Lovely. Looks like all the buffs from that Nemesis crown were not helpful enough in making these guys strong enough to fight us off. Still, solid stats on those malevolent dryads, and the neat thing about Drycha's faction is the sheer amount of anti-leaderships that you can stack, so that is actually a fairly strong counter / scary thing to face off against these Skaven. But again, not enough. Anyway, Gorich will run down Coadil, and I just wanted to make sure we got that as well. And the Nemesis crown is ours. Alrighty, there we go. The enemy managed to rack up, well, by the looks of it, around 600 or 700 kills total. And while they did, those were all summons, and we only had 8 losses in our army ourselves. One of the gym rats died, unfortunately, but, well, what can you do? They also did the second best in terms of damage, following the Roid Rage rodents. Otherwise, Throt himself, 154 kills and 34,000 damage. Again, I've been pretty impressed with Throt's damage dealing capabilities over the course of the campaign, considering he's not a caster or anything like that, but he does good work, and that is discounting the fact that he also summons 2 units of rat ogres on the field. So yeah, pretty good. He also defeated Drycha, while Gorich defeated Coadil, and well, the heroes and the lords of the enemy were defeated. Also, good job to our units of Packmasters, which once again, our named Packmaster, Albert Whisker, did better than the 3 unnamed ones. Go figure. Anyway, we will, I don't know, sell off, eat captives, it doesn't really matter.
Yes, big feast meal.
I gotta admit, I was not expecting that. It looks like Madeline Alvan will want to attack Grouse with a bunch of knights. I think this is too good of a battle to pass up, so I think we'll actually fight it. I don't think the enemy has a chance, but we won't have many opportunities, and who knows if Deathmaster Snitch can find a proper fight against these guys. I would have actually preferred Deathmaster Snitch to have fought this army, but I guess we'll just do it with the giant pile of Skaven slaves and such. Go. Alrighty, for the Horned Rat indeed. I know, our piles of clan rats and Skaven slaves, yeah, we had to put them under this, I don't know, gross water that's coming down upon them. That's a big ol' sewer thing. Why? Huh, that's a really big old sewer thing. I mean, like, armies could probably travel through it. I mean, look at that, an entire unit could probably walk on through. But anyway, I digress. Here come the Pegasus Knights, who have decided to land upon a big old pile of rat ogres and clan rats. I wonder if they're going for the rat ogres because they're a relatively fragile unit with a very low melee defense, and the Pegasus Knights should be able to tear them apart if they were alone, but alone they are not. And we'll even up the numbers a little bit by summoning a unit of clan rats upon them. Not so much to help out in terms of damage, but to make sure that these 2 units of Pegasus Knights get trapped in here. They're locked in here with us, with the rat ogres, with all the clan rats and Skaven slave spears, and wolf rats and everything. And while it'll take a fairly decent while to bring them down, Pegasus Knights are in a way not unlike rat ogres, as they are fairly fragile themselves, and eventually they'll simply get overrun. Out here, the enemy also brought some peasant bowmen to help out, but they're getting attacked by our single artillery piece, where the main enemy host of sort of ground cavalry are heading towards the biggest portion of our own clan rats and Skaven slaves, and it looks like they're not having a good time charging on through them. Oh, lovely. They have, well, they really have to get through a lot of units. We also do have a warp bomb available, well, actually warp bombs available to us, but I feel like we probably won't bother using it. And just because it might be more fun to overwhelm the armored knights and such, especially since I had earmarked this battle for Deathmaster Snitch. And hopefully we can find a better fight for him if this one's out of the picture. And I'm sure we can. Well, I promise we won't end the final episode without getting him at least one good fight, especially since and we did wait for him. I mean, admittedly, we only just confederated him a few episodes ago, but at the end of the day, he's still a legendary lord, and he still deserves a little bit of action. So let us giggle. Anyway, the Pegasus Knight's still in the fight, 2 minutes and 30 seconds in. I mean, I may have called him fragile, but maybe not so fragile. On the other hand, we don't have a lot of damage dealers here. If we had like a mutant rat ogre or somebody to kill off models, it would have been a lot easier. Out here it looks like the peasants are attempting to break through the lines of Skaven slaves and aid their knightly masters, but are probably going to have to work through way more Skaven slaves than they can. Plus, it's a little bit like on like. Bretonnian peasants may have lives that are better than Skaven slaves, but, well, you know, not that good, let's just say. Anyway. Big old pile of knights here. Just had to take a drink. Sorry about the pauses, but anyway, it felt like the right time. Big old pile of knights still unable to break through the sheer number of rat spears, and of course the occasional bullet/pellet from all of those slingers will keep on smacking into them. And at the very least, the knights errant have only a bronze shield, and the questing knights have no shield at all, though admittedly they do have a lot of armor. Interestingly enough, we had no resources to build any towers here, which I found a little bit strange. I understand that they attacked us directly, but we have a tier 2 defensive building, I want to say. It's odd that we have 0 ability to build any towers or platforms. Not a big deal. We have plenty of rats to. Well, we can just make a tower out of the rats, and that'll work well enough. Anyway, finally the Pegasus Knights are out, and it looks like they still have enough mass to actually break out of the formation. Though they were so heavily damaged, one might come back, but maybe not without. In fact, this one may have already come back. Though their leadership is pretty darn low. The big pile of other knights are also in trouble. I would wager, especially the Knights Errant, which are fairly fragile. And they're only tier 2 after all, though they still managed to, at least that unit still managed to cut down 135 clan rats. Unlike when Elspeth attacked our settlement, I don't know, a bunch of episodes ago now, where we struggled a little bit more in terms of how far she was able to get into the settlement. Well, that's partly at least, and because of the fact that she had a dragon and she was attacking from several locations at once. But either way, we're having a better time against Bretonnia here, and that, keep in mind, without spellwork or towers to help us out, both of which we had against Elspeth. A few warp lightnings in this blob of Knights Errant and Knights of the Realm and questing knights would be real nice. Still, I do love to see all the Bretonnian heraldry, all their colors. Their armies are all so colorful and lovely to watch. But they'll all be bloody bits of meat on the ground shortly. In fact, quite shortly, as the bounce power shifts about 95% in our favor. A few units remain in the fight, but it looks like both of their main offensives have collapsed. The enemy lord has fled, and I do believe this last unit of Knights of the Realm is the last unit still fighting, and that not for long. Fleeing knights, well, they'll flee by running down a bunch of those Skaven slaves. I guess we can't stop them in their tracks and kill them all, but that's alright. With that, the last of them shatter, and the battle is ours, and many of them, I'm sure, will escape. We have no easy way of catching them. Too bad we don't have those super fast gutter runners from Crocronade's army, who would be just as fast as these knights. Although, well, if they had shuriken ammunition remaining, that would be really helpful. But anyway, there we go. A really nice defense, and relative rarity in this campaign and in many campaigns, so it's nice to get it on the final episode. Alright, there we go. I'm honestly kind of surprised that the Bretonnians even tried that, but, well, I'm also happy that they did, because we got a nice little defensive siege battle out of it, which are rare enough as it is. I guess we will heal up to chase these guys down, depending on what Deathmaster Snitch is doing. We'll see. Alright, Contagic. I don't remember who you are, buddy, but you slay underling. Looks like you're just it's just a pile of Skaven safe spears? We care about that. We don't really care about the... Oh wow, that is actually a lot of control, but it is what it is. Anyway, Overlords must control versus... doesn't really matter, whatever. Great Incantation Xarwa fails. Rangers Axe, Destroyer of Dryads for defeating Drycha. Oh! Weapon check plus 10% when attacking. Oh, that's a lot better than it used to be. I think she used to just give immunity to Athalor and Attrition, which is awful. Awful trait. Seasoned Campaigner, Creator, Constructor, Overlord's Musk, Trickster's Helm, Breeder, Talisman of Endurance, finally, Numbers Beyond Counting, Dominating Scheme Undercity, Growth Vat Batch, and... Oh! We just... Wait, so... Interesting. Wait. Current level is already pretty high. Interesting. Anyway, I was wondering why it didn't ask us whether we wanted to seal it or not, but I guess maybe the Skaven don't have the option of sealing it, and they just plain get it? That's kind of interesting. Well, we were always going to go for it, so good job, Throt. Now you have the Nemesis Crown, and it is actually buffing up our army, right? Like, it actually is. Because it doesn't have this little thing on the side here. Wait, what's the way to know? I don't think Throt's HP rose, did it? It says that he has it. Weapon strength. There's no missile attacks in this army. Passive ability, Corruption of the Crown. Do we have that on anybody? And I take it this is for the Lord, not for anybody else. Let's see. Causes terror, Master Controller. I don't see Corruption of the Crown here. Maybe it'll only be... Oh, maybe it's only active during battles. Well, I guess we'll find out as we head towards Throt's final battle. So you go here. It'll take a couple of turns to get there, and then we'll finish up there. I wonder if these guys are willing to sally out. Mormel. Go to Nachtdorf. I don't think we want to just attack it. We'll give them the opportunity, the option, the chance to sally out and fight us in the field, because we've already fought them in the, non-field. You can maybe... what does the Overcast version of Howling Warp Gale do? Extended effect duration. Triangulation for this one, although they do have a fair bit of... Oh, wait, I actually thought they had more flyers than that. Well, either way. Either way, it might be worth fighting. Now, let's see what we've got here. So, Medable Hemlock, you are going to quickly take out Saul Carlton, assuming that... I wonder if the mutant might be able to land here. It would allow us to push Medable southward towards Rosefells. Don't really care about the C location of interest, admittedly. Oh, you're supposed to be in regular stance. Too late. Although, if you reinforce, maybe we can do this more easily. Like so. Well, let's find out, as in without losing any units to auto-resolve. Close victory in one of our... auto-resolve. In what world? In what world is the... yeah, okay. I'll deal with it in a second. I might as well get you a little fight then, and maybe we won't use the mutants' army to reinforce. Why do you hate me, auto-resolve? Anyway, Hellkick, you're going to occupy Wolf Forest. You will colonize Kalti Delta, which is the very last territory in Kislev. There we go. Kislev is now fully ours. Like so. And, let me guess. These guys are going to move to colonize Ormfell? Nah. Lorena Catron's back, but not for long, I'd wager, as we'll move Skittison, and let me guess, the auto-resolve won't let us, auto-resolve this either. Pyrrhic victory, and it'll kill off one of our Helped abominations. Okay. Alright, well, they may be minor battles, but it's the last episode, so we'll enjoy our units doing their stuff anyway. Not a big deal at the end of the day. We do want to do several other things, though. You guys will now switch your troops around. this goes to Mr. Bilefitch. That's Bilefitch 2. And do you want to keep the gutter runners and night runners in this army? Do we really care about that? Yeah. I mean, I guess it's an option. Alright, replace the vast majority of the Skaven slaves. Oh, actually we'll want to transfer mutated Skaven slaves rather than these garbage non-mutated ones. Alrighty, and oh. Like so, and then like so. Alright, I think that's good enough. Yes, yes. Alright, Bilefitch. Go besiege Zufbar. These guys have a full stack under Brunden's Stoneheart. And we can besiege this. It says close victory now. Ooh, look at that. Ironbreakers, hammers, lots of iron drakes. Ooh, that's going to be a threat to the Doom Wheels. But anyway, we will besiege it because I think these guys with their full stack will come a calling. So we'll actually move Zapspark to reinforce and obviously make use of that giant pile of Skaven slaves, as we always should. And then you can go into channelings. I don't really care. You are going to go for Inspiring Presence and Warp Lightning, and I assume they have some Gyrocopters in there. Yeah, they do. It's probably better to get to at least one point in Howling Warp Gale and then start, I guess, moving through Engineering skill. It'll all be fine, though Death Frenzy would have been nice on the Storm Vermin as well, but anyway. We'll see if these guys survive. I don't really care whether they do or they don't. Ooh, we also have a Dominating Scheme that we can pop up just because we can. In it, lovely. And tech, since we can still take techs, they can't blame their tools as a possibility. Ooh, reload 4 Warp Lightnings and Doom Wheels. Why not? Why not? Alrighty. So, you guys are besieging, and you're besieging. As soon as we end the turn, you guys should be fighting. Let's keep taking out Drycha's territories right here. Although, admittedly, it's not a big necessity either, but just because we're here, why not? All y'all move on in, and then auto-resolve this. I don't check if anybody should die, but with 3 armies, I doubt it. And I just loot knock about it. Alrighty, there we go. Well, the public order, I'm sure, would have fixed itself anyway. Anyway, you guys are good. You can continue moving southward, Mr. Crocroni, though you might also just end your campaign here, as you're not needed down here. We'll deal with this. We'll deal with... I mean, I guess we deal with this now. Oh, you know what? I guess we can send... We need somebody, I guess, to hunt down Castalton. We can send a couple of armies up there. I think we already moved you, unfortunately. Pustich, yeah, let's just send... Oh, you can go further than I... Oh, no, you can't. There you go. Go out here, and then Pustich, go out here. Thankful, you sit. Somebody's gonna catch Mr. Castalton, I'm sure. Oh, I wonder if he's going for the Altar of the Crimson Harvest, although if he is, we can simply do this. Transfer. Don't take his money. You can just have it. Wait, do we want to have you declare war against anybody? Just give us your money. Alright, there we go. Frankly, we were going to give them the Lair of the Troll King, the Wolf Forest, and all that stuff, but I'm not even going to bother. Alright, yo. We'll do this manually real quick, or we could... Wait. Huh. It's no longer saying the Hell Pit will die. Is it lying? I wonder. Alright, max this out. I'm gonna quick save this in case a Hell Pit dies, because this is obviously a horrific waste of time, and we fought with this army a lot. Sometimes the auto-resolve lies and kills stuff anyway. And Moment of Truth, ooh, it was close, but it did survive. Lovely. Alright, so we won't have to waste our time with that one. And we got another Ice Load Crusher, though we no longer need it. Lovely, and then we'll trade this to the, and we'll trade this to Throg, or, well, in theory, we would trade this to Throg. You guys will catch Mr. Castalton. Let us then fight at Sulkalton. And, I guess we'll want to get a few points in there. Over this army, we'll want to be fighting the undead, I forgot their name, the ever-living faction anyway, so we might as well. Alright, let's do that. Pop a few points in here before we fight this. We probably won't use them. Well, we might bring him in, just him personally, on his Doom Wheel, just for Doom Wheel action. But anyway, let's go Veil of Shadows and Armor of Darkness for you, and then the 2 Chieftains, you're pretty high level anyway. Scarred and I guess you're in Scarred as well? Oh, lovely. Alright, let's fight this real quick. Since it won't let us auto-resolve, Ice Guard, well, there's some okay stuff. And, ooh, yes, the Razor Standard to you, and the Ranger's Standard to, I don't know, maybe you. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Just a small fight to start for this new and improved army under Mandible Hemlock, though admittedly, and once again, he's had a fair bit of action over the course of the campaign, just, you know, commanding a pile of random units. And what I want to see here is the Plague Monk, Censer Bearers, and Death Runner combination that we've got here. Now, we're going to herald the arrival of those frenzied damage dealers by summoning Wolf Rats and sending them directly at our foes. Not because we expect them to do damage, but because we expect them to take hits for the basically unarmored units here. Or tie up any enemy range units. Both things, effectively. And here come the Death Runners. A few of them immediately get sent flying back, but they do start cutting down those Winged Lancers, who lose about half of their HP pretty darn rapidly. And the front lines, we have, wow, look at that HP. The HP from that poor unit of whatever this was, regular Cossars, is gone as the massive amount of damage with 79 weapon strength on those Censer Bearers and just tears through them. Takes a little bit longer to work through the armored Cossars, but not that much longer, admittedly, as those armor-piercing Censer Bearers are pretty devastatingly effective. And of course, all the while, the Death Runners have smashed into the enemy backline and still have a few Wolf Rats rather, helping out. Just ultra-high damage dealing from this army. And it is lovely to watch. I mean, compared to our other armies that have fought the Kislevites, primarily full of clan rats and Skaven slaves, and we've seen those armored Cossars and Zargards stick around for like 5-10 minutes in longer battles. We're 2 minutes in, and a minute of that probably was running towards the enemy, maybe 30 seconds. But anyway, everything gets cut down so quick by comparison to the trash mobs that we've been sending. Alright, which is good, but obviously this is a ridiculously elite army with a sheer amount of expensive troops. And we've got Mr. Mutant's on his doom wheel as well, and I'd like to get him one last battle, if we can, so that he can properly sort of try the thing out, because it ain't happening here, especially since his army was just all the way back here to watch. Anyway, a decisive victory for us. Alright, there we go. Solid work, and Splinter's Disciples, once again, proving my superstition. The only one of the Death Runners units that's named gets nearly twice as much damage as the rest do. Granted, it also has a few more well, actually, none of the mutations that it has actually help it in terms of doing damage, as it's the passive ability Frenzy that was helping them. So yeah, superstition continues. Anyway, yeah, great job for the, I mean, as I was saying, it's a devastating combination of the Plague Monk, Censer Bearers, and Death Runners, both heavy, super high damage dealing, frenzied armor piercers, and though they have little to no defenses of their own, they do work very well together in tearing through the enemy. A lovely little fight. Anyway, we will, you know what, let's loot and occupy this place. We don't really care about it, but we will just I don't know, transfer it to the Fecundites, for example. And I'll be happy with that, and otherwise I want Mandible Hemlock to get one more fight, so I think we'll send him down to here to Gottfried Skellan and the settlement, maybe? Or if we find another army, something. Ooh, the other option, if we attack... Hello, we got a Wonder of the Age landship. Ooh. Huh. That's certainly something as well. And they got the Royal Altar of Krivites. Huh, that actually might mean we could push these guys towards these guys. I will think about it anyway. That's not something we can do this turn anyway. Anyway, the rest of you guys have, I believe, moved. We could do building, but I think at this point in the campaign it no longer matters, so I think we won't bother. Let's just move towards our final fights. As soon as we end the turn, Bilefitch should get attacked out of Zufbar. Hopefully Mormel will get attacked out of Nachtdorf. And... ooh, wait. Deathmaster Snitch. What do we have going on down here? Fay Enchantress is at Castle Brion with some very solid defenses. Hello. I guess this will be another place where we get attacked. Alright, so you, just in case... oh, wait. I was thinking these guys could, you know, break walls, but apparently not the case. Alright, so steel tech. Why did I bother? I don't know. Alright, a Deathmaster Snitch. Ooh, so you have one minor issue. You need to take some of the rat ogres from this army in order for your army to be complete, because you needed 3 more rat ogres. Huh. We're very close to the rat ogre cluster, but I'm pretty sure it would give us 2 instead of 3 anyway. I wonder. Okay, you know what? Let's give this a try. You kill this. Ambush auto-resolve. Hopefully the rat ogres won't die here. They'll get a little bit damaged, but maybe we can heal them up to full. That puts us... I was hoping that would give us enough growth juice to put us to the next rat ogre cluster. Okay, you actually really don't want you to reinforce, because then I'm willing to bet the AI won't sally out. Maybe we can march stance in and then transfer to Snitch and then transfer out, or we could just leave the place next turn. There's a possibility of that as well. I mean, they got 2 stacks and so many knights. It'll be nice if we can get the fight going. Oh, also, you need a razor standard, sir. Oh, we only had the 2? Medible Hemlock has the 1 and Thanquol has the other. Thanquol won't be fighting anymore, and much as the Council Guard would, you know, want that stuff, and they don't need it anymore. We can lose... Well, actually, leadership on... Oh, it's not for the army, it's just for Snitch himself? That's useless. Absolutely useless. Shroud of Dripping Death. That sounds pretty, Eshony to me, does it not? You can also lose the Breeder, I guess. Let's get the other Shroud of Dripping Death. Alright, good enough. Then I would like Mr. Hall Scurry to scurry on over to Deathmaster Snitch. Like so. And transfer him 3 more rat ogres. Like, wait, you have the... Do any of you have the garbage trait that makes you useless? No. You have a good trait. Let's do you. And you. Alright, there we go. Y5, it's so that they can intersperse themselves among the death runners here. Now, you have stock and vanguard deployment. You have stock and vanguard deployment. You have stock, but no vanguard deployment. Alright, so the first 3... Okay, you just need vanguard deployment, so let's get you... Gives you vanguard deployment. There's stock out to this. Warp fuel infusion. And then you 2 will need... Oh, you 2... You can't get both because we won't have... Actually, we'll have just enough, so... Vanguard deployment for you. Yes. Vanguard deployment, and stock and unspottable. Fantastic. Okay, so you got an instability out of it, but that's alright. Beautiful. I'd love to give Frenzy to the Death Runners and the Eshin Triads, to be perfectly frank, but we just don't have the... Oh, actually, we do. I lied. Laboratory. Mutagen buyback. Confirm. Oh, it's a 10-turn cool... Oh, wow. A 10-turn cooldown for only 100 mutagen... Oh, wow, okay. That's I thought it would be no cooldown at all. Well, that's stupid. Huh. Well, then I guess we were never going to be able to mutate more than we currently can. That's a little bit disappointing. I mean, or it would be if, well, if it was an actual issue, but it isn't. Anyway, you can have Frenzy, I think. I'd love to get you a little bit of armor as well, but, you know, Frenzy. Well, actually, you guys should probably be, you know what? Let's get you the armor, because then at least the Visktrin's Death Squad, rather, is up to 60 armor, which is pretty solid. And... what did I want to get you? Oh, Frenzy, right. Frenzy. There you go. And then we have enough points to get 2 more Frenzies going, so let's get a couple more for you too as well. Like so. Alright. It looks good. Eventually we would have evolved the army to be considerably more powerful, but I think it's fine. It's fine in its current state. Can you get any more units? No, you cannot. I was hoping to put a few more Skaven slaves in the army, but it's all good. You have wolf rats, meaning Moulder knowledge would still be of benefit to you, and... I really don't care for Crackle Bomb. It feels like it's a rather useless trade, but we can get you Stab in the back and Tougher Than He Seems to buff you up a teensy bit. And there we go. Let's hope that the Fay Enchantress still decides to attack Deathmaster Snitch. It's still close to feet. So I'm willing to bet that, well, they just might. Deathmaster Snitch, you can have more attack. You 2 can have those Shrouds of Dripping Death. Oh, actually, you know what? You 2 have Frenzy. Well, no, then we can maximize their attack damage. There you go. Frankly, it's actually a better thing to put on rat ogres because they take more advantage of it. But anyway, that I believe is now that. We're ready to end the turn and hopefully find a bunch of fights and turn. Alright, it looks like the correct Drin Dwarfs will sally out against the Doom Wheels without the second army moving in. I guess they're deadlocked with the vampire counts, but that's alright. I wanted the Doom Wheel army. I mean, admittedly, this is too many Doom Wheels and too many Storm Vermin, but I wanted this army to have the chance to get as much Doom Wheel action as possible, so that's what we'll do. I'm going to quick save this because this is going to be a relatively long episode with lots of battles, and if it crashes, I'm going to cry myself to sleep, so let's not risk that. Go. Alrighty, here we are, as army was quick built, purpose built, and quick built I should say, because we want to try out those Doom Wheels. Now the 4 Doom Wheels, led by the Wheels of Doom, a regiment of renown. Not the most... let's say, imaginative a name for these guys. Doom Wheels called Wheels of Doom, but they are pretty neat. Where are they going, you might ask? They're going to loop all the way around the enemy and hit them from the back/sides. Frankly, it might not even be necessary, but we do have to be very wary of the Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torps. And in fact, the other Doom Wheels are going to barrel their way towards them now, and hopefully... they won't take too much in the way of damage from them. There we go. At least a couple of them have connected. Gonna try to dodge a few more. And ooh, yeah, they're leading the unit well enough and take about 30% of the HP. But now the Doom Wheels crash into them. And here come the Skaven slaves first to take the hits from the enemy flamethrowers, and then followed by the piles of storm vermin as well. They're mostly there to distract the enemy, of course, as the Doom Wheels will cause absolute havoc in the back lines. There we go. And we can keep the Storm Vermin and the Skaven Slaves fighting together on the front lines, just distracting the enemy melee mobs long enough. After we've destroyed the range line, then we can start moving through this and annoying the enemy all that much more. We do have a little bit of range support in the form of the 3 Gutter Runner Slingers here, with poison, mind you. Ooh, bombs will drop in the midst of our Storm Vermin and our Skaven Slave Spears, though luckily it's the Brimstone Guns and regular Gyrocopters, so they're not quite as threatening to our Doom Wheels as the Trollhammer variant would be. And there we go. The Doom Wheels don't really care about the piles of dwarfs. They're moving through them like they're not even there, disrupting their formation, just generally causing havocs. Wheels of Doom are also moving in. There we go. And they have the sort of regular lightning, don't they? It's like not green glowing. Let's see if we can see them get a couple of shots off. Come on. Damn it. Huh. You guys do have a range attack. Well, yeah, you do. Okay, there. Oh, of course. The second I look away. Alrighty, there we go. Crashing on in. Don't get in each other's way, guys. Come on. And so the havoc ensues, or continues, I suppose. Bounce power's at about 85% in our favor. We've taken actually a fair bit of damage to some of the Storm Vermin. These guys, for example, are down by about half of their HP. But now that the enemy backline is pretty much cleared out, their range units are either tied up or have been destroyed. And by the Doom Wheels, it's only a matter of time. And sure, they have some Iron Breakers here and some other units that are going to take a bit, but they can't stop the Doom Wheels. Nothing they can do. Although, admittedly, the Gyrocopters are still going to be up and annoying us in the air. Always fun to watch the Doom Wheels just ride through the enemy lines like this. There we go. Isn't it beautiful? All thanks to the Pump Rat. Alright, how are we doing? Yeah, still a little bit of effort. There's a lot more elite units, I guess, concentrated on the right flank. We got Hammers, Iron Breakers, and Longbeards here together, so it is taking a little bit of extra time to break our way through them. Looks like the Gyrocopters have also nearly knocked out the Gutter Runners, Slingers with poison, but really only the Doom Wheels matter in this particular army, and if they're not being attacked, everything's just fine. Oh, look at the little tiny rats in there. So cute. Are they tied down, or are they all just keeping pace? Because you'd think that if one of them was to, you know, fall down, it would just go spinning within the doom wheel. I don't know. All I know is I love it. Anyway. Battle is nearly done now, just a little bit more, and of course the storm vermin are working as well. They are being admittedly, you know, interfered with by the piles of Skaven slaves in terms of doing direct damage, but, you know, not to say that they aren't doing anything. And sorry, I have the hiccups, so I might want to stop recording the next battle for a few minutes until it goes away. I have to keep pausing to keep myself from hiccuping into the mic and deafening you guys. But anyway, there we go, the last of the enemy units still fighting. They're not for much longer. A unit of hammerers, the elite of the elite, now completely surrounded by our own elite of elites, I guess, in the form of the Doom Wheels. Doom Wheels are a tier 4 unit. Well, no, the Wheels of Doom are a tier 4 unit. The regular Doom Wheel is a tier 3. Are Hellbent Abominations tier 5 or tier 4? Do Skaven have a tier 5 unit? I assume it's a Hellpit Abomination, because what else could it be? Jezzail, there's no way Jezzails are tier 5. And I had assumed the Doom Wheels would be tier 4 or 5 because they're pretty obnoxious and annoying, but apparently not the case. I'm actually just surprised that the regular Doom Wheels are tier 3. Go figure. I'm gonna have to double check those Hellpit Abominations. To be honest, Hellpit Abominations are good, but I wouldn't give them a tier 5. Like, they're not on Thunder Barge level or Dreadquake Mortar level. Nowhere near it. They're a big old tank, but, I mean, a Thunder Barge or a Dreadquake can basically destroy... Dreadquake Terrain can basically destroy an army by themselves. Although I guess it's sort of like, you know, S tier and then SSS tier, whatever it is. I guess there's a lot of sort of things in that same sort of ballpark, but, you know, some are considerably stronger than others. But anyway, and none of that matters. What does matter is that the Doom Wheels have carried the day the dwarfs are destroyed. We can see the HP is pretty low on a lot of Skaven slaves and even our Lord. And our Storm Vermin, this one's down to a mere 20% of their HP, but at the end of the day, the Doom Wheels did their work. Alrighty, there we go. Some lovely Doom Wheeling action for this particular army, and the Doom Wheels, I'm sure, did well. 11, 12, 15, 12, and 27,000 damage. And that considering the Wheels of Doom were really late to the fight, but they do consist of, you know, 3 Doom Wheels, so it does make sense. The enemy was also quite irritating with their gyrocopters, unsurprisingly, perhaps, as this army doesn't have much in the way of anti-air, but at the same time, we just sort of cobbled this together in a couple turns just for the Doom Wheels to have some fun, and the Storm Vermin to have some fun as well, which they all did. We'll heal up because we'll want to auto-resolve this, although this army probably won't be fighting again, so it hardly matters. Alrighty, and looks like Otheode will indeed sally out as well, which we were banking on, so I'm happy to indulge in this little fight for our Rattling Guns and Jezzails go. Wait, quick saves in case it crashes, and then go. Alright, for the clan indeed, little fella. Here we go. I am so glad we were able to get a field battle for the Rattling Guns and Jezzails, the Rat Gunnery army, which is fought in a minor settlement, but not out here. Now this will change that, and hopefully it'll be a pretty nice fight. So, here we go. We start the day off with our Jezzails with their extremely long range, plinking away at the malevolent dryads as much as they can. Gotta reduce the number of bow units available to the enemy as much as possible. Heir of Kurnus will slam down into the clan rats, and if you're wondering why they didn't target... Oh, wow. Huh. Unit of Skaven slaves ran at the enemy and instantly exploded. Oh, yes, it was One of the units of Skaven saves had the final level of instability, which just destroys them as soon as they engage with anything, making the unit useless. But, you know, you gotta spend units to make units, or you gotta spend growth juice and mutations to etc, etc, etc. Anyway, enemies are starting to move on in. We are on the defensive as well, and as I was starting to say, the reason why the enemy likely used the Arrow of Ruinous against other units rather than these is because since we're on the defensive, the enemy, well, we have stock on our entire army. Stalking machine units. You gotta love them. Machine gun units. You gotta love them. Anyway, the enemy is moving in, and look at all those guns fire. So many warpstone bullets filling the air. A unit of Great Hawks attempted to move towards us, but promptly got gunned down by a combination of rattling guns, Jezzails, and the Howling Warp Gale spell. Units on the front line still fighting, limited though they are, especially with the loss of the one unit of Skaven slaves, but it's also a combination of summoned clan rats and summoned wolf rats. They really just need to tie the enemy up while we continue machine gunning them. And there's plenty more machine gunning where that came from. Looks like a big boy is moving towards us, a malevolent ancient tree man of shadows. It'd be good if he didn't cast a penumbral pendulum through the line of guns here, and he won't have the opportunity to do so for too much longer, as two units of machine gunners will focus him down. We'll stop him in his tracks with our assassin, and just to pin him down and then riddle him with Peloton bullet. And beautiful. The bounce power has shifted to about 70% in our favor. The enemy is still trying to run their way up this hill as they take guns and rockets and whatnot. And of course are slowed down by a fairly considerable amount by the combination of suppression and poison. 17 move speed, for example, on the Malevolent Dryads. Looks like the enemy's melee assault has failed, and by and large a few range units remain. And a few big boys like this Malevolent Tree Man that we haven't really been focusing down because, I mean, he's all the way back there being distracted by a summoned unit of clan rats. He's out of the fight, effectively. We do have to make sure that we knock out the rest of the range units, and of course the very threatening melee units like these Wildwood Rangers. I do love the unit myself, and I had a tendency to use them a lot when playing Orion last. Alrighty, and the battle is very nearly ours now. Bounce power 90, creeping towards 95% in our favor. The Jezzails have been gunning down all of the enemy range units, of course, because, well, they outrange the rattling guns. Looks like one parting arrow of Ruinous into one of our range units, but this Waste Stalker will shatter right after. And after taking a fair few bullets from one of our Warplog Jezzails as well, and there we go. With that, the battle is ours. You gotta love Gatling gun rats there, and / rattling gun rats. Skaven units, generally speaking, they look like they're having so much fun. Anyway. What was I going to say? Oh, right, at the start of the battle. I did check, and Hellpit Abominations are indeed a tier 4 unit, though the Thing Regiment of Renown is a tier 5, and I would assume that the Avalanche Mortars Regiment of Renown is a tier 5 as well, but ignoring Regiments of Renown, I guess the Skaven don't have a single tier 5 unit to their name. Huh. I wonder if that's on purpose so that they can save Vermin Lords for the inevitable expansion that gives them Thankful, and probably the times, but anyway, and thus give them Vermin Lords and put them up to tier 5. It would make sense, right? Frankly, most of the good stuff in the Skaven roster is all in tier 3, like all of their weapons teams and fancy stuff, their Doom Wheels, their Doom Flares, etc, etc, etc. But anyway, apparently a close victory, but probably more so by the expenditure of rattling gun ammunition than anything else, and I guess that one unit that exploded. Alright, there we go. Lovely seeing the rat guns go to work, I believe. Well, we lost one unit, technically speaking, but this unit had 17... Well, this one has 11, but this one had 17 mutations and had I don't remember what it was called. Something instability. It basically causes it to explode randomly. So yeah, the unit just exploded, so it makes sense why it's gone. Otherwise, good work to the Jezzails. 28, 27, and 34k damage versus the 26 to 15k damage on the Rattling guns. It makes sense that the Jezzails do a little bit more work because they fire for a lot longer. Lovely work. Anyway, we'll heal up just in case, but it hardly matters here. And there it is. It looks like the Fay Enchantress, well actually Helwas Thurgard, will sally out with, by the looks of it, 2.5 Bretonnian stacks for Deathmaster. I like that even more, Deathmaster. Deathmaster Snitch. I don't know why I find that so amusing, but anyway, yeah, 2.5 stacks, lots and lots of knights in the Fay Enchantress herself to lead them for Deathmaster Snitch's debut battle. Ooh, we got Pegasus Knights, we got Grail Knights, lots of questing knights. This is gonna be a toughie. I like it. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Deathmaster Snitch heading towards the enemy lord, who attempts to dodge him and sends in a pile of mounted yeomen. And that, by the looks of it, will distract Snitch, who takes a fairly hard hit from the enemy paladin. In the meantime, our combination Death Runner and Rat Ogre piles will move on, and we've separated them here into 5 groups to be microed individually, as that's basically the main source of damage that we're going to have here. This is going to be an extremely tough battle, and if the roles were reversed, or if I had the option of choosing which army, I would pick the Bretonnian. They have a lot of knights, and it's primarily questing knights and grail knights. A single charge from any one of those units would destroy, or at least so heavily damage, one of our elite units that they'd be out of the picture. So it's, yeah, it's definitely up in the air. Anyway, what's not up in the air is the fate of the first little army, the one not with the elite knights and not led by the Fay Enchantress here, as this army gets run down and obliterated rather quickly. And our reinforcements have arrived on the field, though admittedly the enemy reinforcements will be here in 30 seconds as well, so we don't have too much more time to kill what's here before we have to regroup, essentially. I'm going to try to knock out the Paladin, or at least damage him. There we go. Looks like the Paladin is out, and that was an important kill, as the Paladins from the other armies are going to have to be ignored. There really isn't too much that we can do about them, because it takes so many resources to bring down a Paladin, and there's just too many enemy units otherwise. Anyway, our Ixis Triad's trying to keep pace with the Prophetess, but it looks like we're not going to be able to catch her. Some Shuriken might have been nice here, but well, what can you do? It looks like the Rat Ogres are also slightly slower. Huh. Well, they looked like they were catching up for a second there, but they probably were in the midst of a charge. And ooh, looks like we got another Paladin here, and our assassins, led by Deathmaster Snitch, are working away at him. Got a little bit more time before the other reinforcements arrives, and interestingly and annoyingly, this Paladin, by landing here, actually interfered with a couple of units of Skaven slaves, which we need to send at the enemy. Now, speaking of the enemy, it looks like the questing knights and knights of the realm have arrived. This is also a pretty good map for the enemy, not a lot of tree cover, and I mean, it is a Bretonnian map, so it does make sense. And they're going to start working on us. First charge into one of these Skaven slave spears. Looks like they failed at that one, and well, they've got more where that came from. We don't really care what happens to these Skaven slaves. They're just there to tar pit the knights as much as they can while we do the damage with the rest. All the way on the right flank, we got the enemy Grail Knights. This has been our target, as we don't want these guys running around and cycle charging. So we commit a unit of Rat Ogres, a unit of Death Runners, and a unit of, actually 2 units of Rat Ogres, but anyway, and a unit of Eshin Triads. Unfortunately, by keeping them locked in place, we also opened ourselves up to get hit A by the Uranon's Thunderbolt, and B by a charge from the enemy. It looks like we've taken about 20% of HP damage there. But the rest of our reinforcements are moving in. First of our Skaven slaves look to be shattered and or being destroyed there, but at least the Grail Knights are, if not quite out, at least very heavily damaged. Another unit of Death Runners and Rad Ogres trying to hunt down some questing knights. Best to not let them pick up any momentum, essentially. Just keep them locked down and fighting rather than allowing them to take advantage of those devastating charges. Alright, the balance power remains roughly even. The Grail Knights have fled, but will, I believe, return. I don't know where the unit is, but it'll be back. It ran in some direction. Oh, they're there. And it looks like they're going to get a charge in, but they get stopped by a unit of summoned clan rats right before they get hit. The Visktrin's death squad, just in case we're going to back those guys out of there. I really don't want them to die, and besides, there was another unit that was wheeling around, a unit of Knights Errant that we could tear through relatively easily. The enemy only has 2 units of Knight Errant because they only have primarily Knights of the Realm and Questing Knights, and whereas the Knights Errant are super fragile, we should be able to knock them out of the picture rather quickly. And a Veil of Shadows will essentially shield the rest of our army from this portion of our army from the enemy moving there. You can once again see that we have the enemy engaged with primarily the Skaven slaves and summons and stuff, whereas our units of Rad Ogres and Death Runners are backing off, chasing down individual units, but not engaging in prolonged combat. Now, like I've said before, they're all very fragile units, Rad Ogre and Death Runner alike, and we can't have them get run down. Definitely a big micro-intensive battle here, at the very least with that portion of our army, though the Skaven slaves I've mostly just left, and whatever happens to them, it doesn't really matter. And the same thing that we're doing on the left flank, we're doing, or on the right flank with the Death Runners and Rad Ogres, we're kind of doing on the left. We have a spare unit of Rad Ogres, which is leading the summoned Wolf Rats and non-summoned Wolf Rats from the Packmasters around. And they've, I believe, destroyed 1 unit of Knights and will look to destroy another. Looks like another unit of Knights of the Realm has peeled off, or at least been isolated, and thus Rad Ogres and Death Runners will hopefully tear through them. I do believe several of the other units that ran away are back on the offensive. They return to the fight, and before they can pick up speed, we send the Triads at them. They still knock them down, but man, they can accelerate fast. Which ain't so great for us, but whatever. On the bright side, the Overwhelm damage reduction is absolutely massive from the Triads. A mere 26 weapon strength after Overwhelm on the Triads. Or on the Knights Errant, rather, which is really nice. Deathmaster Snitch is somewhere here as well. He was hunting down other single entities, but is now moving towards the Fay Enchantress, who has a coterie of questing knights, as well as a pile of men at arms, and I believe a battle pilgrim unit in here somewhere as well. Alright, we're going to have them all debuffed with Weeping Blade, of course, but it would be best if Snitch could take out the Fay Enchantress. And quicker would be better. She's up to 195 kills, and of course she's got that healing that she's providing, and 32,000 damage. Pretty darn solid. And I'd wager significantly more of the direct damage and kills than Deathmaster Snitch, but, well, he's for mostly targeting single entities. He does have the Whirl of Weeping Blades available to him if the enemies should blob up around him sufficiently. Although it does look like the enemy will send in some Pegasus Knights to help out. The balance of power has shifted slightly in our favor, but the battle is still very much anybody's game. Our units have taken massive damage, and most of our Skaven slaves, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or so units have run off, and some of them have recovered, and some of them are still running. Still very much trying to bring down the damn Grail Knight unit. We forced it to rout twice, I believe, and have repeatedly dealt heavy damage to them, but we don't have an easy way to knock out individual models, so they will have recovered some due to their healing ability. But what can you do? Alrighty, and it looks like another charge comes on in from the Knights of the Realm. We back off right before that so that the Clan Rats can take the charge instead. Deathmaster Snitch down to 40% of his HP, which is a little bit iffy, but we're still in the fight. And there's still lots of knights running around. Ooh, looks like they send one of the units of Rat Ogres packing, unfortunately, but not much we can do about that. Paladin's still in the middle of a pile of units as well. But again, we're ignoring him in favor of destroying all the other units. It's really critical that we destroy the actual knights. And we are still working on it. Looks like the Knights of the Realm have sent another unit of clan rats packing, and, well, more and more clan rats packing, I guess, but what can you do? Fay Enchantress has run off and has come back once again, and Deathmaster Snitch is attempting to hunt her down. It's a very big, wide battlefield, so it's kind of hard to look everywhere at once, but it is a fantastic battle, you gotta admit. And, ooh, Deathmaster Snitch takes a big blow down to 10% of his HP, and brings down the Fay Enchantress, and just barely. Definitely a close one there. And just gotta keep working on it. Another veil of shadows in the center of the enemy formation, mostly to try to break up the formation and hopefully prevent some of them from fighting. Unfortunately, Death Runners probably can't fight directly with things like Foot Squires, and I mean, not even talking about the Knights, but things like Foot Squires and Battle Pilgrims. At the very least, they can't take blows from them. This Death Squad's more damage than I remember, but, oh well, what can you do? And damn, those Knights there, and they have the speed, but they don't have the speed to run off the map, apparently, because they just keep on coming back, including that darn unit of Grail Knights. But at least the Fay Enchantress is out, so no more healing, and no more spell work. How's that bounce power looking? Still hovering at around 65-70% in our favor. And the fight yet goes on. Still working on the flanks. Some of the units have, routed and rallied. It's kind of hard to pay attention to them all while trying to keep all of our Death Runners alive. Again, they're super fragile. And obviously the units of the Triads are being really helpful here, because by debuffing the enemy, they're keeping the Death Runners and the Rat Ogres alive a little bit longer to dish out the extra little bit of damage. And would somebody please kill those darn Grail Knights? Apparently not. Looks like this portion of our army is fled. But I do wager that they'll be back. Mr. Deathmaster Snitch wades back into the fray as well. Just gonna try to wait until the enemy blobs up so we can get a nice whirl of Weeping Blades down, or maybe duel the enemy Paladin here. Alright, Snitchy, keep cutting them down, good sir. Here we got a big blob of enemies fighting in a little copse of trees, which actually probably works in our favor a little bit, at the very least for the Death Runners and the Rat Ogres and the like. And it looks like at last most of the enemy regular units are in the midst of shattering. Of course, the Battle Pilgrims still remain, and we'll have to cut them down. But at the very least, this means that the enemy has finally suffered enough losses in the battle, very close though it was, is ours. Very, very nice. And of course the recovery will have kept Deathmaster Snitch alive, who managed to knock out the Fay Enchantress, though it was a very close call at the end there. Alright. And while the enemy is running, we'll try to hunt down as many of them as we can, but we also still have to cut down the last of those Battle Pilgrims, so we can watch that. And their damage will be relatively low thanks to Overwhelm, at least to all of the ones that we can apply Overwhelmed. Oh, no, we can't. They're immune to contact effects. Oh! Huh. Well, with their 50 weapon strength, that's actually pretty solid. Oh, good for them. No, unfortunately, with their lack of melee defense and a general lack of armor, although it's better than Flagellants, and you can get their armor up pretty darn high by stacking these buffs. At least their defenses are low. Tactically, not much to say anymore. The enemy is, we're just waiting out the clock here, essentially. Well, not in the same manner as the Kislevites with their Buy Our Blood, just to the numbers of enemies. But at last, it looks like the rats will, as they always should, start to outnumber the enemy. And there we go, mostly chasing enemies down. Oh, there's another little unit of Battle Pilgrims out here. It's alright, the summoned wolf rats and the rat ogres can take care of them, and of course all the extra time that we spend fighting in this manner, as in taking down the remnants of those battle pilgrims, is time that the recovery is still working on Deathmaster Snitch and stuff, so he's healing back up. Which is nice if he should need to fight again. Just taking in what remains of the action here. There we go. A couple more units, 16 left of this unit of battle pilgrims. I believe that's the last one on the field. And they have certainly stayed in the fight much longer than the various knights did. Though, darn those Grail knights. We spent so many resources trying to knock them out, but their running away really worked in their favor. Anyway, there we go. And okay, there we go. The last of the ones will get knocked out by one of the Death Runners. And the battle is ours. Ooh. Aw. Yeah, a little mid-leap. I guess that was the killing blow. I actually kind of unclear who delivered the killing blow here, but yeah, anyway. Pyrrhic victory for Bordello Errant. I don't think so, but I think it was, a Pyrrhic victory, a close victory for us. Certainly it was a fantastic fight. Oh, that was magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. A long brawl made up the entire battle, and we got a little bit of an annoying taste of our own medicine as the knights kept cycle charging, and after routing we can chase them down because they're faster than our own units, and thus they were able to back off and then charge on in again. But at the end of the day, Deathmaster Snitch managed to overcome it. Lots and lots of kills and damage on all the Death Runners and the Rat Ogres. Very solid combination and by the looks of it, and I've been continuously impressed by the Eshin Triads. Their damage is solid, but with the Overwhelm, they really are a solid counter to Knights, and when interspersed among Skaven slaves, just generally speaking, really good units. When originally they were released, I was kind of unimpressed by them, I will admit, but with the SFO Overwhelm edition, they're really nice, and certainly have a place not only in the roster, but in many armies. So yeah, I really like him. Deathmaster Snitch, 200 kills, 35,000 damage, and once again, I think it's appropriate that he got the best battle in the campaign, considering it makes up for not being able to fight with him other than one battle. So imagine all of his battles combined into one, and it's the best battle of the campaign, so I think it was glorious. Also, definitely a battle worthy of the final episode, a finale battle. So even if Throt's, what's it called? I mean, he already got the Nemesis Crown, but the little dig site battle, even if that one doesn't work, at least we got this one for the final fight. But anyway, we'll heal up. And I think, what, one more turn left? Alright, there we go. Odd Powder Keg, Flash Bomb, Treasury Expand Tunnels Growth, and another Boom Master for Hall Scurry, which he doesn't really need. I don't know, take the Odd Powder Keg, why not? Alright, Witchfinder General, Deathmaster Snitch has a 10% casualty or punishment rate, great for him. Constructor, a new regional power court of Libaras, Brood Horror for Infectique, and ready for duty Krelk, there's a technology, and now of course we get Undercities, and oh right, we have a... oh wait, no we don't. We have a growth vat batch available, but otherwise we're good. Anyway, I wonder if these guys are going to try to go to Grouse. I also wonder whether these guys would try to attack us again, though I doubt it. I assume we can now auto-resolve it without losses? Yeah, alrighty, and we'll just occupy the place. In fact, we'll occupy it at tier 3. Like so, and stay in the green still as well. You stay here, you out here in case the enemies try to attack you. You can also build up like this, although I guess this is probably the last turn of the campaign, so it won't matter. Hey, we even got an assassin building here, isn't that appropriate? Beautiful. Anyway, as I was saying, probably the last turn. Let's see, Throt, are you able to... no. Okay, second last turn. You reach here and then the game will be done. Or the campaign will be done. You can auto-resolve this and occupy it just so I don't have to waste time sending it back and forth. It's not like we care about the public order, and we've stopped building buildings at this turn, though we have one more turn, so one more technology to acquire. Freaks Off the Leash, I'm gonna get this just because the name amuses me. Freaks Off the Leash indeed. Now, What do we have here? Are we able to move on in? Yeah, I wanted to get one more fight for Metable Hemlock since his army didn't fight. Well, originally I mostly wanted it to fight because of the presence of the Death Runners, and we now essentially got their debut out of Mr. Snitch. We could move over here, but frankly, the AI is kind of terrible with undead armies, and I'm just going to send Metable Hemlock in to fight here one more fight, and there's some really good stuff there. The Wonder of the Age Landship. How would we even bring it down with this army? It's going to be an issue. Certainly going to be an issue. We could also move Mutant to do it. He could knock it out easily with the Warp Lightning Cannon, but this guy won't be able to fight. He can't reach Rosefells in one turn, and oh right, the leadership reduction that we stack with this army is completely useless against these guys, and the undead would be terrible against this. They just get obliterated. Alright, Metable Hemlock, you're gonna get the fight, so... oh, I guess we could level you. That's only 1 point, but nonetheless, let's get you, I don't know, Trixie, why not? Eshin Sorcerer, you can get a 2nd level in Armor of Darkness so that you can actually overcast it. You guys can get, let's go for Tenacity first. You should be saving your points, but I guess it doesn't really matter over much here. And then here we can get another point in, I'm gonna say, wait, Wither is already area and Blessed with Filth is already area, so I think we should at least have both. Alrighty, let's declare war on you. Declare war, call their allies to help, don't bother. And hopefully they'll be willing to fight us in the field, and then we'll end the turn, and then, okay, there you go here. Alright, you're not in the right stance. I don't want you to ambush them because that'll prevent us from fighting. I want you to actually fight. So go like this, and they will not run. Beautiful. Pyrrhic victory. Casualties high. We've got the Royal Altar of Griphites and the Wonder of the Age Landships. 2 insane regiments of renown. So should be an interesting one. I'm going to quick save it again instead of in case of the possible crashing, as it's a heck of a long episode. And go. Alrighty, here we go. One last fight for Mr. Metable. Just wanted to make sure that we got one last fight for the combination of Death Runners and Plague Monk Censer Bearers. We know it works well, but, you know, it's a rather unnecessarily elite combination, but hey, we've got a lot of good stuff in the enemy army, especially the Wonder of the Age, Regiment of Renown Landship. And of course the Royal Altar of Griphites as well. Anyway, we're gonna head towards the landship with our big boys. Oh, look at that brood horror bounding forward towards the landship. And we're gonna move in the 2 rat ogres to help out. We got a lot of HP to tear through and a lot of armor and all that. And of course the warrior priest will move in to help out. But while they're distracted, and the Death Runners have arrived, tearing through that poor unit of handgunners who have no hope of survival here, and just overrun and torn to shreds in seconds. And as soon as they're done, the halberdiers that are holding the Blight Scab's Plague Pack back will now get hit by Censer Bearer to the front and Death Runner to the back. And similarly, the Halberdier unit loses all of its HP in seconds and is done. We tried to hit the Wonder of the Age with the landships, with the Death Runners. I wanted to just apply that to Whirl of the Weeping Blade to it to reduce its armor, which is significant. But it did manage to kill 43 of them, and then we had to back them off as they were taking way too much damage. And that's with both of the Bone Breakers attacking it. Damn, this thing is tanky. Easiest way to bring these down would be to get rattling guns or Jezzails or just range in general, like Cronids' army. Takes a long time in melee, but we do bring it down at last, and that was the last unit here. Though, at the same time, as soon as the big boy pops, Slenoshi giggle, but anyway, the reinforcements have arrived on the field, and we're going to reposition ourselves and get ready to take them out. Looks like the Royal Altdorf Griffites will separate themselves from the rest of the army, looking to flank us, but that's a bad move on their part, because we shadow them with the Lord and his 2 chieftain guardians, and then as soon as they've distracted them, we send in the piles of Wolfrats to hit them from every side. The Royal Altdorf Griffites are actually a surprisingly fragile unit. I noticed this in my Karl Franz campaign. I guess it's because they have a 32 unit number, but their I think their HP isn't commensurate with the number of units that they have, so they're very liable to lose units, which is kind of interesting. They do extremely high damage, but they also get torn to shreds like so. Down go the last of the Griffites here. Unfortunately for the AI, isolated and destroyed. Now, it does look like the enemy wanted to move a bunch of units in to reinforce the Griffites over here, and I did use the Menace below to stop them right on the hill here. And it's allowed us to blob them up a little bit. It will also allow us to position several of the... Ooh, nice big old mortar volley into the Blightscab's Plague Pack. Really? A single mortar volley does that? Well, I guess unlike the AI, we're not dodging artillery shells, and the enemy is just hitting us. But what can you do? The mortar fire will be followed by range fire as well, but we've met the enemy with a range fire of our own. The warp fire throwers melt this poor unit of halberdiers pretty much instantly, while the rest of our units make their way into direct combat. Here comes another volley into a unit of great swords this time, and a single volley takes about 60-65% of their HP, which is pretty darn fantastic. And those great swords will no longer be useful. In the enemy's back line as well, our Death Runners have arrived to help the Wolfrats and the Chieftains and such. I'm going to send the Brood Horror riding Lord after the enemy Fire Wizard. Bright Wizard, whatever. And the Death Runners will start closing in with the other enemies that they can. Alrighty, there's the Warp Flame, there's the Plague Claws, the Death Runners, the Censer Bearers, and it looks like the battle is very nearly ours. Though all that range fire did a decent bit of damage to some of our Censer Bearers. Alrighty. Solid fight, a couple of super elite regiments of renown, but all good things have to come to an end, and with that, this particular battle is done. More than that, though, the enemy has a lot of infantry that will not be able to escape the Censer Bearers and the Death Runners. Alright, beautiful. Lovely, lovely fight. I genuinely don't know whether the sort of anti-leadership stacking that we were doing in this particular army mattered much in this particular fight, or it didn't, but it was a really nice fight either way. And lots of damage as typical from the Plague Monk Censer Bearers, especially, and the Blightscab's Plague Pack, and of course the Death Runners as well. Very nice work. We'll eat the captives, and then we'll just... I was about to say raise the place, but, well, I mean, I guess we can still raise the place. Yeah, why not? And raise it. Not like we're looking to keep it, and frankly, we'd be free to abandon this place as well. You can go... Really? This is as far as you can go? It's not very far. Well, go here. I was hoping there was another stack there to fight, but it looks like that it's unlikely that we'll find a decent one for him. But anyway, all good. We're done here. The Kislevites are dead. They have one... Yeah, they have nothing remaining. They might actually be able to take... whatever this place is called, or they might have if we weren't nearby with a bunch of stuff. Who has an actual army here? Ickbolt, I guess, is the only one. Alright, go for it, Ickbolt. And this, being one of our victory conditions, was to kill off the Kislevites for good. This should end the Urson Revivalists. And there it is, faction destroyed. Beautiful. We got the short victory, we got the long victory. All Kislev is ours, and all of the Kislevite factions, all 4 of them here, are destroyed. Fantastic. Other than that, okay, I guess you can have Zufbar there. And we'll just sit there. You can end your campaign there. Just wanted to make sure that we had the settlement in case anybody had tried to attack us again, and it's a principle of the thing as well. Lovely. So we got one battle probably left, unless there's something else, but I don't think there is. Oh, we're looking good. Oh, that Bretonnian fight, though, that was absolutely fantastic. We could play the campaign to 200 turns, and I think we wouldn't get another battle as good as that. At least I doubt it. Beautiful work, Deathmaster Snitch. Anyway, let's end the turn one last time. Alrighty, another one of these boxes of eerie noises. I really wish that this was a better item, and then we might have, you know, picked it up once or twice, but it's kind of a terrible item, so I never bothered with it. Whatever game, please. Now is not the time. Confederation tells an enemy killed in battle, Talisman of Preservation, Hammer and Anvil. Ooh, tradable resources produce plus 5% from defeating Albrecht de Bordelot. That's quite nice and hello. Gottfried Skellen moved on, and but his army is just trash. Admittedly, his garrison wouldn't be that bad, but it wouldn't be buffed up. Oh, you wouldn't even be able to reach him? Oh, game, please. Alrighty, well... we could go right here. Or we could wait. The piles of skeletons and zombies obviously wouldn't be a threat to us, but there is some very solid stuff here, like the Blood Knights and stuff. I'm just wondering if it's worth our time to actually fight this or not. Oh, hello, what do we have here? Rat Ogres, Brood Horror. Huh, this time we get lots of good stuff. Growth Fat Patch available. Bray Herds come. I'm willing to bet that they appeared right beside Throt, right? Yeah. Huh, I wonder if they would suddenly attack the Sylvanians. Anyway, we're here to get the final battle for Throt. I'm really tempted by this, minus the fact that we can't immediately attack it. And while they probably would sally out... I wish you could move into reinforce, because this would possibly be an issue for us. But nonetheless, maybe we wait the turn, do one more final big fight. I can never stop. That's my problem, I guess. Hopefully nobody's complaining. Let's get tricksy and sneaky and then tough as nails and... Well, actually, you know what? Let's actually here get bonus versus large minus... Wait, enemy characters in region. Creature Musk. Speed minus 10 for war beasts and monsters. Yeah, why not? Let's do Creature Musk, but I'd still say get Trixie because of the potential damage that we could suffer. Most versus largest enemy characters. I don't really care about that. Let's get Creature Musk. And then you will get... you know what? For this, maybe we will get Black Whirlwind. And we have Veil of Shadows and Armor of Darkness, which are the important things. I guess we could get Brittle Bone. I don't really care about it that much, but the melee defense reduction is nice, if nothing else. And I guess you're staying there. You got your armor and your Book of Assure. 99.9% likelihood that these guys sally out, because, frankly, they would have probably sallied out with a single army, but anyway, you go here just in case they don't. Well, frankly, if they don't, I'm not going to bother fighting it. Throt, you're going to wait here for one turn then, instead of going immediately to the Nemesis Crown dig site for your final fight, and I guess we can end one more turn, so let's get... I don't know. Anything useful that we can get in one turn? Ambush success chance, filtration chambers. Why not? Good enough. And I believe there's nowhere else where we are likely to get a fight without moving, just a double check, or at the very least a good fight. Yeah, all the Bretonnian armies are gone. We've essentially taken out their strength, so they're broken. The Kislevites are broken. Alright, fine. Oh, one more fight then. One more fight. Do you have any interesting weapons that we could give you, potentially? Wormslayer Sword removes bonus versus infantry, which wouldn't be good, because... Yeah, I don't think that would help us here. And the minus 20 melee defense would also not be good. Oh, wow, why's your melee attack at nothing? We should have... Well, actually, without an melee attack, that wouldn't be as great. I'm tempted to say, give you the Armor of Destiny, we'll give the Chromatic Armor to somebody else. Funnily enough, the Rocket Boots would also be fairly nice for the Doom Wheel action. You know what, let's give Mutant the Rocket Boots. Why not? We do have some spare items now. Over the last couple of episodes, we've racked some up. I don't think we have any spare potions of healing, unfortunately, however. Yeah, that's what I wanted in here. I guess we'll just give you the odd powder keg. It's a little bit of extra melee defense reduction against the enemy. And then hand weapon wise, what do we have for hand weapons? I guess we'll go for Ranger's Axe because it buffs up your range attacks since you are now on that Doom Wheel. And you do magical damage. Yes, and then I guess we will take the, I don't know, Packmasters. I think we're going to need it. We should have a couple of spare glittering scales here now. Yeah, we really racked up a decent amount of items over the last couple of episodes. I have obviously in the last couple of episodes stopped giving items to our heroes and stuff. Because they were no longer needed. Ooh, maybe wait, now Executioner's Axe causes the desyncs, we can't do that. You guys are on the Brood Horrors, you have armor now. Huh, it doesn't give you 2 rocket boots. Since we have 2 of them, allow you to move really quick should you need to do so. There's a decent argument to be had. Oh, Trickster Sam, I was gonna... Alright, where's that glittering scales? My bad, my bad. Alright, oh, you know what we could get though? Pigeon Plucker Pendant. And we should have a Rival Hide Talisman. Yeah, we could give it to the other guy. Potion of Strength, Terrifying Mask of E, we don't need. Most of this stuff would just be transformed into hopefully better stuff. But we don't have that. You can have a Potion of Strength. I'll give you a Pigeon Plucker Pendant as well. Somebody's going to need to react to the enemy range units. Where's that Potion of Strength and where's that Pigeon Plucker's Pendant, if I can find it in here this time. Alright, come on, Ruinous. Too many items. Can't find... There it is. Alrighty, there we go. And hand weapon, magical attacks, relic sword, why not? It's basically just to do a little bit more damage, though I don't expect these guys to do damage in that manner. Anyway, good enough. Alright, there it is. Waited for that a little bit. I actually wonder whether having this battle in the underway might be a bad idea, because our piles of Skaven slaves, and frankly all of our units, yeah, none of our units are immune to terror, and there is so much fear and terror in the enemy army. Well, we'll find out. If we run, we just run and back off and then fight them again. Let's go. Alrighty, let's see if the mutant full throttle can pull this one off. It's most definitely going to be an extremely difficult battle. Frankly, if the roles were reversed, I would find this hilariously easy for the vampire counts to win. Actually, to be real frank, ignoring all the skeletons, ignoring their Graveguard, ignoring their Black Knights, their Black Coach, their, I don't know whatever else they had in their Crypt Horrors, etc. If we just took the fact that the enemy's 2 armies have 3 units of Hexwraith, my favorite unit in the game, and 2 units of Blood Knights, just those 5 cavalry supported by their lords should in theory be more than enough to defeat our army. Of course, the AI isn't very good at playing the vampire counts, but yeah. It's a very nasty pile of units. Anyway, we're going to charge on in, just trying to annoy the enemy at this point, and the reason is we want them to charge towards our main stack. I was hoping to get them to charge towards us before the second stack arrived to separate them a little bit, but, well, couldn't quite manage that. What can you do? What we can do is target those Hexwraiths as a critical unit to destroy. They may be my favorite unit in the game, but they do have to go down, and not in a good way. Fortunately, Warp Lightning Cannons are particularly well suited towards this sort of thing, assuming they don't kill off too many of our own Doom Flayers, as Warp Lightning Cannons do magical damage, and Hexwraiths obviously have low HP due to their ethereal status. So We will take about 60% of the HP of one and severely damaging the Black Knights with the other Warp Lightning cannons before switching to other Hex Wraiths and to the newly arriving Blood Knights on the field. And there we go, the Hex Wraiths have closed the distance but have also separated themselves from the rest of the enemy army, so we surround them with the Brood Horror and with the Doom Flayers and take them out. All the while Mutant is out there essentially annoying the enemy. Casting a few Warp Lightnings, well, not casting, well, actually, not casting them, but, you know, sending them off from his Doom Wheel, shooting them off. That's the one. Ugh, weird texture. Alrighty, Hex Wraiths almost charged into our Skaven slaves, but then we stop them with the extremely fast-moving Brood Horror and then charge on in with our Doom Flayers. If you're wondering why I did that, rather than allowing them to charge into the Skaven slaves, which we normally wouldn't care about, you have to remember that these units have terror and fear, and with the exception of 1 or 2 units of Skaven slaves, which probably have the immunity to psychology mutation. Huh, do any of them in this army? Okay, maybe not in this. Actually, this one does. But anyway, with the fear and terror, a single charge might even send them scurrying away with full HP, which is very, very dangerous for us. Like, we can see this Doom player is at full HP, and is terrified and running. And the edge of the map is so close that we could lose a full HP unit of Doom players just like that. Alright, but it looks like, come on, there we go, they were just recovered. This is why we need to be so careful about our positioning with the Doom Flayers and with the knowledge of the fact that they'll randomly get terrified off. Anyway, speaking of the Doom Flayers, best to try to get them into the center of the map and thus into the center of the enemy formation, both to disrupt it and do as much damage as we can, but also to keep them as far from the edges of the map as possible. Gonna charge right through a bunch of skeletons and zombies and whatnot, and just keep on working it. Doom Wheel riding Mr. Mutant is doing the same thing in the meantime, just going through whatever portions of the enemy line he can. But it does look like the enemy are starting to close or get closer and closer to those Warp Lightnings. A unit of Skaven slaves is terrified and running. I think another one is terrified and running as well. Oh, a Wolfrad unit is also terrified. Broken, in fact. Broken with 90% of their HP remaining. Yep, that fear and terror, not so great. Almost all of our units are susceptible to it. We have very few units that have a fear and terror application together. Alright, trying to knock out that black coach with those Warp Lightnings. At least the Warp Lightning that is still firing. The other one has been engaged with by a few units of Hex Wraiths and Cairn Wraiths that have closed the distance as well. The Mutant trying to help out. He does have magical damage on the Doom Wheel, at least in terms of its range capabilities. And it looks like the Doom Flayers are still here. They've moved through the center of the enemy line, done a ton of damage, disrupted their formation, then moved back to where we're trying to desperately defend the enemy onslaught here. And then we pop off the Veil of Shadows to once again keep the slower elements of the enemy army disrupted. If we can just destroy all the enemy cavalry, their Blood Knights, their Crypt Horrors, their Ghosts, just basically all of their fast movers and their elites, we can handle all of the Grave Guard just fine, even with Corpse Guard support, although we should be able to bring down the Corpse Guard decently quick if it hasn't already been Warp Lightning, and just with using those Doom Flayers. But we really can't leave those elites. It looks like most of our Skaven slaves at this point have been terrified off, and yeah, it's just a repeat of this. Things with a lot of HP just getting terrified or broken, well, terrified, and trying to run off the field. Dreaded. Oh, and they have a dreaded application on them too. Oh, wow. Something in the enemy army also removes immunity to psychology, so, well, that explains why that doesn't even help here. Not great. Not great. But we're still in it. Warp Lightnings are effectively firing point blank, even as some of their crew get cut down by a Black Coach and some Cairn Wraiths here, and probably a decent amount of them and get terrified away. Brass Orb comes down from Mutant, who's still riding around, and man, this is another fantastic fight. Echoing the absolutely magnificent fight against the Bretonnians as well, I gotta say. Absolutely worthy of a final episode. And I'm also so glad that Mutant gets an epic fight, an epic challenge like this, because he had a lot of epic challenges in his original run in the Ikit Claw campaign, and he definitely deserves this action. I'm gonna go after that Black Coach, which is nearly done for, incidentally. Still trying to support the other ghostly units, but I should have probably finished it off. But it looks like it is melting away and should pop soon. And come on, write it down. Somebody kill it. There we go. All right. A little bit more work. It looks like the enemy is still in the fight, but the balance of power has shifted to about 90% in our favor. We have most of our melee infantry either destroyed or fled, but our Doom Flayers and our Doom Wheel are still working it. The crews of the Warp Lightnings have either fled or are dead as well. But it looks like the enemy is now melting and the battle is just about ours. Fantastic. Graveguard are of course still here, but they were these slow elements of the enemy army that I kept talking about that we needed to separate, and definitely don't want to allow the undead to sort of intersperse their elites amongst the tarpening elements of their armies, as it would thus work too much in their favor, especially if they could use the mass of the cavalry and of the monstrous units to prevent our Doomflayers from doing their thing. But do their thing they did, as the last of the enemy's zombies and Graveguard and skeletons melt away, and Mutant will bring down the enemy lord, who is the last on the field. And there we go, impaled upon the Doom Wheel's, I don't know what to call that frickin' thing, Doom Wheel's weapon, and a fitting end for someone who dared to stand against the Mutant or possibly one of his clones. Yeah, Mutant looks pretty menacing in that Doom Wheel, doesn't he? Yeah. Good job. Anyway, there we go. The enemy failed here. I am, as somebody whose favorite faction is the Vampire Counts, almost a little bit insulted by the fact that the enemy couldn't win this fight, that the AI couldn't win this fight, because they should, in theory, have had such a huge advantage troop quality-wise compared to ours, but again, it's the AI. I've said it before, but the AI is particularly bad at playing the Vamps because it doesn't really understand what makes their armies work. Anyway. Alright, beautiful. That was a pretty darn fun fight for the Mutant, and I think the underway thing was the right move, by virtue of the fact that a bunch of our units were really close to the edge of the map. A bunch of them also fled from terror pretty much immediately, though it was very concerning watching some of the Doomflayers try to run away at full HP with all of their units just because they were terrified. Definitely nerve-wracking, but otherwise we were able to, well, do plenty of damage with everybody. And the Warp Lightning Cannons, 67 and 71,000, very, very good, despite the fact that they were taken out of combat, well, maybe not early in the battle, but midway through, and they still managed to rack up a pretty insane amount of damage. And of course, great work by the Mutant, with 50,000 damage, 245 kills, and 50 to 30,000 damage on the various Doomflayers. Lovely final fight for Mutant. He's a legend. He's one of the community canon favorites, so I think it would have been unfortunate not to get him a final fight in this campaign, or one of his clones, depending who this really is. Anyway, eat captives. Alright, badly mutated treasury, I don't care. Let's skip past all of this because we are done. We have one last battle to fight, assuming that it works. And if it doesn't, then we won't have a last battle to fight. But anyway, Nemesis Crown, I'm not going to bother leveling everybody up because it's only 1 point and everybody's just fine. And okay, it lagged a lot, so I was worried that it would be, it was going to crash at that exact moment. In fact, just in case it crashes, let's quick save it again. And yeah, this is why I wanted to make this the final battle. Look at that. 7 units of monsters. Isn't that appropriate for the Monster Master of Moulder to face off against 2 giants, 3 Arachnarok spiders, and 2 rogue idols, 4 Doomdiver catapults, but because they got ambushed, they have, they're not going to get too much use out of those, but the monster clash will be a final fitting send-off for Throt the Unclean. Away we go. Alrighty, here we go. One final fight, one last clash of monsters under Throt, harkening back to the time where our Hell Pit abominations fought against the Frostworms with Castalton. We have all the monsters of the Greenskin roster fighting all the monsters of the Moulder / Skaven roster. There we go. A big ol' hug between the Rogue Idol and Gorich, who will be facing off against this one. We got a mutant rat ogre fighting an Arachnarok spider, a Hell Pit abomination moving towards the other Rogue Idol, and in fact a Morskatar's Hellion also fighting one of the Arachnaroks, and giants facing off against a Hell Pit, and a chieftain riding a Bonebreaker. In the meantime, the Ratketeers have moved into the front of the battle line, wherein they summon the blobs of wolf rats, while the other units of regular rat ogres move on in to start hitting the others, so that they don't interrupt the big old monster contest in the back line. Our units of wolf rats that we've kept in this army since the very, very start in the campaign, the non-summoned ones, the moldy mutts and the bear rats, have in the meantime obliterated all 4 of the units of doom divers. Throt has also moved to attack one of the giants because the enemy had 1 more monstrous unit than we did, and besides, Throt's presence does give his aura buffs and his active abilities, which give anti-large to all of his units to us, which admittedly, Creature Killer is going to be certainly helpful here. Alright, and of course the Rogue Idols are still fighting. They have a pretty darn big HP pool at 20,000. Not as missile resistant as I recall as the giants, but have a similar sort of level of tankiness. Just by virtue of the... well, then again, the giants may be more resistant to missile fire, even if they don't have 20,000 HP, but I suppose it doesn't matter over much. Anyway, the bounce power has shifted to about 95% in our favor. Obviously, all the poor goblins got obliterated by the combination of giant piles of wolf rats summoned on top of them by the Ratketeers and the regular rat ogre charges. In just a matter of time until the monsters are defeated. Looks like Gorich has brought down his rogue idol. The sort of similar kind of green glows from the Rogue Idol and the Hell Pit Abomination as they face off against each other. And it's Cuddles in the last portion of the duel on this map. Of course, Rogue Idols are unbreakable. Well, okay, they won't rout, is what I'm getting at, but they will disintegrate. They will break apart. So unbreakable sounds a little bit off for them, but anyway. Alrighty, and I do believe Cuddles was the one Hell Pit abomination that took that massive amount of damage from the dwarfs so many episodes ago now, and it's appropriate that he gets a reward with a nice little duel against the enemy Rogue Idol. And as you can see, it's recovered quite nicely. Got to love all of those heals that we've got on the Hell Pits. Their regeneration in combination with the recovery, making them heal much, much faster, for example, than our rat ogres. Anyway, a very nice fight for the Master Mutator. All right, there we go. Moulder, Throt the Unclean, Master Mutator, Master of Moulder. Here we have him showing his anti-large prowess and the capability of taking down all those monsters. The duels between our Hell Pit Abomination and the Rogue Idol, Gorich and the other Rogue Idol, and then all the monsters fighting each other. Fantastic. Exactly what I wanted to see. Some of the moldy mutts died, but, well, we'll heal them to nearly full health, and I mean, I guess it doesn't matter since that was the final fight. So, since we won't be seeing them again, we have the Packmaster Albert Whisker, and Morskstars Hellion, Ratatouille, Cuddles, the Ratastrophe, Moldy Mutts, Bear Rats, Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep, Swole Patrol, Ratabolic Steroids, Roid Rage Rodents, and Gym Rats. Very, very nice. Eat the captives, and ow! But I thought we already had the crown. Okay, I don't know, but take the crown. Now does it... Oh, now we do have the buff. Huh, I guess we didn't actually get it from Drycha, did we? Well, I get whatever. I don't care. I don't care. We still got the Nemesis crown at the end of the day, and now it... let's just see here. Yeah, now we have corruption of the crown. Ah, alright, well... Well, there we go, folks. With that, this campaign comes to a close. I know it may feel a little, I don't know, shorter, but that's really only an episode count. Turn-wise, we're at basically 100 turns, and 100 turns is average for pretty much all of our campaigns. So we got where we needed to be. We got short and long victory. We wiped out all the Kislevites, and the old world short and long victory, mind you, which is a fair bit of an achievement as well. And then we got the Nemesis crown, got our very nice final battles over the course of this episode, especially that Bretonnian fight. I'm still on that, yes. Plus, I mean, at this point, our economy has grown to pretty insane proportions. At this point, we'd just be running around spreading undercities all over the world, both to enemies and to allies. Really, we've won as much as we needed to. Nobody else would ever be a threat to us. For the statistics at the end of the campaign, this doesn't work for Old World, but this does, and I don't think there's anything too interesting in here for this, but for those interested, total income, what, 3.5 mil? Not so bad. I think... one loss over the course of the entire campaign. That's not bad. And it was a minor settlement battle defeat that we probably auto-resolved when the enemy attacked a minor settlement, and we didn't want to defend against it. But yeah, the rats are basically as good as the undead are in terms, well, almost as good. In terms of making it very difficult for the AI to, you know, punish them in terms of their defenses, because you can get a single army up and running and get an almost full stack of Skaven slaves in there in a single turn, and then when combined with the fact that the Skaven slaves are powered up by Moulder and the fact that you can get some growth vat units in there, you basically have raised dead, and hence very difficult for us to lose any defensive battle, which is where our losses in most campaigns would usually be coming from. Anyway, thanks for sticking with this one all the way to the end, folks, and I'll see you squeaks next time we do the rats. All glory to the algorithm. Thanks for watching. Ruinous Man Thing out.